with flu, you're gonna get it.
Tracking flu cases here in Central Texas. What's making this year so unusual?
Plus, why you'll have to pay more this year to get your Christmas presents to their destination on time.
After a chilly end to the weekend, we'll show you just how quickly we get back into the 80s in first warning weather.
A lot of flu cases. Thanks for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Britt Moreno. Austin doctors are telling us they're tracking some unusual numbers this flu season.
If you look at like historical data with just even Travis County data. So we had this reprieve from flu for 2 years during the pandemic. But it's come back with a vengeance this year, not necessarily in the number of people that are sick, but how early it's starting.
So check this out. The maroon numbers on this chart show how the season compares to previous ones. You can see the percentage of doctor visits for flu-like symptoms is higher than we've seen this time of year, at least since 2018. And doctors tell us it can almost be inevitable.
With flu, you're gonna get it. I mean, even if you're vaccinated for flu, which I definitely recommend for people that are 65 and older in my practice, you're gonna get it. And it's really more about, is it gonna cause a big problem for you?
Of course, if you find yourself coming down with symptoms, you're asked to stay home or keep your kids home from school so as not to spread it. Early voting is breaking record numbers in Georgia, where voters are deciding not just on their senator, but also weighing in on the balance of Congress.
And new numbers show the state has set new records for early voting. In the runoff between Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker, more than 1.85 million Georgians voted early. That includes more than 76,000 people who didn't turn out in the general election. Now, Election Day there is on Tuesday.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Well, as promised, unfortunately, it was a cooler day for us here today, unless you like that sort of thing, and still really gray. This is how it looks from our Whittlesey Landscape Supplies camera in Granite Shoals. The last cool day for a while. We've got a big warm-up to look forward to beginning tomorrow, though, if you want these temperatures to turn around a little bit. Most of us stuck in the 50s all day. You generally had to head into our eastern counties to get temperatures into the 60 or above mark, and that's where temperatures are a little warmer than this time yesterday, but most areas several degrees cooler than we were 24 hours ago. But our warm-up actually begins tonight. A lot of clouds overhead, even some sprinkles, a little bits of drizzle either side of the I-35 corridor too, so you may notice a few little drops. Shouldn't amount to anything, but a little drop here and there, not out of the question. Temperatures are actually going to slowly warm tonight, despite the cloudy skies. A warm front pushes in. 56 at 7, 57 at 9, and 58 at 11. Coming up in first warning weather, we'll show you this warm up coming. 70s and even 80s in the forecast, and when rain chances return.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. FBI Director Chris Wray is raising national security concerns about TikTok. Speaking at the University of Michigan late last week, Wray said he worries control of the popular video sharing app is in the hands of the Chinese government. He said the FBI is concerned China has the ability to control the app's recommendation algorithm and could use the app to collect data on its users that could then be used for espionage.
Its parent company is controlled by the Chinese government, and it gives them the potential to leverage the app in ways that I think should concern us.
Now, TikTok is owned by Beijing-based ByteDance. In a statement, the company said it operates as a private company and that TikTok Inc., which offers the TikTok service in the United States, is a U.S.-based company bound by U.S. laws.
Today, the OPEC oil cartel decided it will not change what it's doing, despite uncertainty about the impact of new Western sanctions against Russia that could take significant amounts of oil off the market. Starting on Monday, a European Union boycott of most Russian oil and a price cap of $60 a barrel on Russian exports takes effect.
Well, December is here, and that means the time you have to get those holiday gifts is running short, especially if you plan to ship presents. Now, you'll remember last year's Ship-A-Geddon nightmare that was marked by record delays and out-of-stock messages due to supply chain issues and COVID setbacks. While a repeat is not expected this year, experts say prepare to pay more to send presents by mail. FedEx, UPS, and the U.S. Postal Service are already implementing peak holiday pricing.
Labor charges are leading all the major shipping carriers to put some extra fees on shipping costs, which they are definitely passing on to consumers.
Now, still, there are plenty of ways to save on shipping. The Postal Service offers free packaging supplies, and you can also cut costs by having gifts shipped directly from the online retailer to your recipient. Many retailers even offer complimentary wrapping.
One of Austin's urban's food forests is about to expand. Check it out. This is the Festival Beach Food Forest along Lady Bird Lake just east of I-35. All these plants are also food. Over 100 fruit and nut trees, and some advocates wanted to make it even bigger. Last year, the City Council approved spreading out over 3.5 acres. In an update last week, the Parks and Recreation Department said it is now working to implement that expansion. It will start with planting more trees and adding storage, but will eventually include an outdoor pavilion and a teaching kitchen. Organizers are looking for volunteers to help out with this expansion. So find out how to do just that online at KXAN.com.
All right, well, Santa Claus normally wears a big red suit.
Yes, he does. But today, some of his helpers donned their leather jackets and their helmets to help bring a little Christmas cheer. Today in Hutto, dozens of motorcyclists came together for the Austin area toy run. Folks rolled up on two wheels and brought with them presents for the Round Rock Housing Authority's toy drive. Organizers say it's a holiday tradition they'd love to continue.
We've been doing this now. This is our 34th year. My mom was one of the originals that started this. This is what bikers do. We love to ride, and we love to see people happy, and really children.
There you go. After gathering the presents, folks stuck around for a little post-present party and a raffle. Coming up, the new Alzheimer's drug giving hope to the thousands of Texans living with this disease.
Plus, he helped Americans fight the Taliban, and now he's fighting the U.S. government for a chance to live here. Indonesia's highest volcano is erupting today, sparking evacuations.
Check it out. Huge plume of smoke here covering the sky. According to scientists there, monsoon rains eroded and finally collapsed the lava dome on top, the 12,000-foot high volcano causing the eruption. There's a promising Alzheimer's drug on the horizon.
It's called lecanemab, and it targets a protein in the brain called amyloid. Now, with Alzheimer's disease, amyloid globs together and forms plaque, which has been associated with the destruction of brain cells. Study results published last month found patients with early-stage Alzheimer's disease who received this medication over 18 months showed a 31% lower risk of converting to the next stage of the disease. The Alzheimer's Association chapter of Texas says it is hopeful about this and other drugs in the works.
It changes the course of this disease in a really meaningful way for people in those earliest stages of Alzheimer's. So that gives people more time at or near their full ability, to participate in their daily life.
And the Texas Health and Human Services Commission estimates there are about 400,000 people over the age of 65 living with this disease in the state.
Looking in depth on this, in 2021, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved a different, similar medication designed to treat Alzheimer's disease called Adulam, also produced by the same pharmaceutical company Biogen. Adulam is expensive, and Medicare decided to limit coverage of it just last year, citing limited benefits and elevated risks. Medicare officials at the time said they would open up broader coverage if a similar drug with greater benefits became available.
Well, we managed to get quite a bit cooler than yesterday. Yesterday we were in the mid-60s. Today didn't even get out of the 50s in Austin, although what a difference less than 24 hours is going to make. I'll show you how quickly we get into the 80s in first warning weather.
An Afghan soldier who helped U.S. troops overseas is now seeking asylum, but as Devin Clark tells us, instead he's being detained along the Texas-Mexico border.
The fight was right against the Taliban.
Sami Safi worked as an interpreter for the United States in the war in Afghanistan. In 2015, he was able to get a special immigration visa to live in the U.S.
This is my brother. Okay. He worked as a special force officer.
Hoping to free his country, he says his brother, Abdul Wasi Safi, stayed behind, working side by side with American troops.
Going after enemies in Afghanistan.
But after the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan, Safi says Abdul Wasi was left behind and met with harsh aggression from the remaining Taliban.
They title you traitor, and they title you infidel, basically you work with the infidels, you're an infidel. That's what they see it.
Sammy says Abdul Wasi was forced into hiding.
He was going to be tortured and killed.
Eventually, Sammy says his brother fled to Pakistan, Brazil, Panama, trying to find a safe space, but was always treated like a terrorist. He finally decided to make his way to the U.S. through Mexico with a group of migrants.
He arrived to the United States on September the 30th.
The plan, Sammy says, was for his brother to come and explain his story to U.S. officials. But instead of being welcomed, he was detained and criminally charged.
The people in power, and I want to be as clear as possible, because of your wrong policies, people like my brother are suffering right now.
That is Devin Clark reporting. Well, back at home, some Round Rock ISD students are working to bring a little holiday cheer to local refugee children.
According to Refugee Services of Texas, more than 1,000 Afghan refugees have come to Austin and 150 from Ukraine. Now, to help them, a group of Round Rock High School students launched the HERD Foundation, the nonprofit that supports displaced immigrant and refugee children.
On top of the trauma they face, they're already having to assimilate into new communities, right? So our goal is to make that transition kind of easier.
And this holiday season, HERD is running a donation and toy drive for Ukrainian child refugees. You can find out how you can help by looking for this story on the homepage at KXAN.com.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Well, it did feel a little winter-like here in Central Texas, at least by our standards here this weekend for the first official weekend of meteorological winter. And we've got cloudy skies in Georgetown and really all across Central Texas from our Ewald Kubota camera. I'm not expecting much sun for the week ahead, but there are going to be some glimmers here and there. So it's not going to be all gray. Just a lot of low clouds over us right now, and then a couple of sprinkles too. And then there's even going to be a warm front that slides through the area and moves to the northeast overnight, and that's going to allow a surge of much warmer air to come our way here starting tomorrow. It's still going to keep a lot of clouds around though, but the temperatures are going to be a huge different story tomorrow compared to what we had today. Let me show you the cloudiness into tonight. This is 9 o'clock, still gray, a couple of sprinkles, a little drizzle this evening. I think that starts to come up a little bit more tomorrow morning, so as you're driving to work, kids back to school, there may be some drizzle around, and you may use your windshield wipers a little bit. Shouldn't amount to anything though. And then the drizzle chances disappear by about midday. Still a lot of clouds at noon, but we start to see some breaks in the clouds in the hill country, and then those breaks start to expand, especially east and west of the I-35 corridor. The clouds may be a bit more stubborn up and down and near Austin, but I still expect at least a few holes of sunshine during the afternoon tomorrow, even if you get stuck under a mostly cloudy day overall. Low clouds come back for Tuesday, another round, a couple sprinkles in the morning, and then a little bit of some holes start to open up again Tuesday afternoon too, but more often than not, more clouds than not here. Temperatures 50s for us thanks to the clouds, but that warmer air off to the south will start to be allowed to push back in here tonight. And in fact, temperatures will rise through the night and through the day tomorrow. And you're going to notice that actually tomorrow morning you wake up warmer than we were all this afternoon. We're going for a high tomorrow of 74, then we jump to 78 on Tuesday, 81 on Wednesday, and then temperatures just drop slightly to 78 on Thursday. And by the way, these are going to be the warmest days of the next week because starting Friday, the numbers start to come down again. But we should be in the mid-60s, so this is still well above normal for this time of year. As the warmth rushes in, the humidity starts to rush in with it. So through the night tonight, the humidity rises so that most of the day tomorrow, especially for the afternoon, it feels pretty humid. Humidity peaks Tuesday into Wednesday, borderline very humid with dew points near 70. And then that humidity does drop late Thursday into Friday thanks to a cold front that also drops our temperatures a little bit too. So we'll go with a 10% chance of rain tonight. It's mostly the sprinkles and drizzle though, and that will continue into tomorrow morning. 58 for an overnight low. That's about where our high was during the afternoon here today. Tomorrow's high gets to 74, even with a lot of clouds, a little bit of blue later in the day. It is going to be a breezy day tomorrow, but that breeze, remember, is a warm one, and that's what's going to help these temperatures jump up. So while our overnight low will be around 58, that should be near midnight. We should wake up in the 60s tomorrow, and then it's mid-70s for the afternoon. 78 mostly cloudy on Tuesday. Maybe a little more sun on Wednesday, but a 10% rain chance in the hill country. 81 Wednesday. Numbers go slightly cooler here for Thursday, 78 with a 20% rain chance. A mostly dry cold front drops us to 70 on Friday. Our highest rain chances of the next week actually come next weekend. 30% rain chances Saturday and Sunday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening. It's back to the Alamo Bowl as expected for the Longhorns. They'll take on the highest ranked team not in the playoff or in a New Year's Six bowl game. Longhorns will take on the University of Washington down in San Antonio. That's December 29th. The Huskies 10-2. Longhorns are 4-1 in the Alamo Bowl, including a couple of years ago, the final game for Tom Herman, and Washington 0-1 in the Alamo Bowl. The Huskies are led by their Indiana quarterback transfer Michael Penix, who leads the nation in passing at over 4,300 yards per game. A great turnaround for this Washington program. Of course, Steve Sarkisian coached Washington. In fact, he coached Washington in their only Alamo Bowl, and now he gets to face them.
This is a heck of a matchup. University of Washington, obviously I've got a little bit of history there, but it's a great program, great history, great tradition. Coach DeBoer has done a fantastic job of getting that program to where they are and winning six straight games. So all in all, we're excited. We know it's going to be a heck of a challenge. We're very fortunate to be invited to this ball game and looking forward to the opportunity of continuing the legacy of great bowl games there at the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Two schools have met 4 times. Longhorns 3-1, the last coming in the Holiday Bowl back in 2001. Memorable when Major Applewhite led Texas from 19 points down. Back to Sark. Of course, he coached at Washington from 2009 to 2013. And that Alamo Bowl game was a loss to Baylor, 67-56, in the highest scoring game in the history of the Alamo Bowl. Meantime, the playoffs are set. Georgia, Michigan, the only 2 undefeateds. The questions about 3 and 4. TCU, some pins and needles after losing in the Big 12 championship game, but they're at number 3. Number 4 is, in fact, Ohio State, and there's the reaction in Fort Worth today as TCU becomes only the second, well, now we're going to see it again, the second Big 12 team to play in the tournament, in the playoff, along with the University of Oklahoma, Ohio State, and then there you see Alabama and Tennessee on the outside looking in. So TCU will take on Michigan. That game will be out in Glendale, Arizona, the old Fiesta Bowl. It's the first game on New Year's Eve. Ohio State and Georgia, the old Peach Bowl in Atlanta, the other semifinal game. We'll take a break. We'll talk basketball as the Longhorn women back in action after a tough Friday night. They try to get back on track. Got the Cowboys coming up tonight right here on Sunday Night Football against the Colts. A few weeks ago, this matchup was a little more interesting, at least around here. Remember, Sam Ehlinger was their starting quarterback for 2 weeks. Frank Reich fired. Jeff Saturday hired. He reinstates Matt Ryan as the starter. Colts are struggling. Cowboys trying to keep pace with Philly, who won today and stay 2 games back in that NFC East race. Well, interesting in Houston because Deshaun Watson returns from that suspension, and he does it where he didn't play last year, but of course had some pretty good seasons with the Texans. He struggled in this one as he throws the pick. Jalen Petrie with the interception. The Texans are already up 3-0 at the time, and then more struggles for the Cleveland offense. Nick Chubb runs into a Texan wall right there. That's a safety. So the Texans up 5-0, but they just could not do anything offensively. And well, finally, the bad offense turns into Browns points. Kyle Allen just looking for room off the goal line, coughs it up. Denzel Ward picks it up, easy touchdown. And then Allen has the ball tipped, and Tony Fields, easy interception, touchdown. And Watson just 131 yards passing, but the Texans just 223 total yards as they continue to sit on 1 victory. UT women back in action. Vic Schaefer's club lost a battle against South Florida on Friday night, taking on Southern University this afternoon. Shaylee Gonzalez having her best game as a Longhorn, the former West Coast Conference Player of the Year at BYU. Her best game by far as she scores 22 points. Longhorns, no problem with this one. Transition, Rory Harmon had 10 assists. Aminu Muhammad, the freshman, with the finish right there. And then the other freshman, Jacqueline Mwenen-Tonda, finishes this off. Longhorns cruise. They're even up at 4-4. Week off for final exams, and then they get Alabama State next Sunday. We're back after this.
Taking a look at the forecast here tomorrow, starting with clouds and even a little drizzle, will slowly dry out, a little more sun, and 74 tomorrow afternoon.
Very nice.
Nick, thank you so much. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We'll see you back here after the game on KXAN.
Have a good one.